You ever sit down in a seat you earned, truly earned, and still feel like the world's staring at you like you don't belong? That was me, seat 1A, first class. Atlantic Blue 274. I wasn't some spoiled rich kid. I was a 14-year-old FAA youth evaluator on a real assignment. I had the boarding pass, the protocol, the reason. But to that flight attendant, Beverly, all she saw was a kid with a tablet, and that was enough. She walked over, heels clicking like a judge approaching the bench, and looked me over, then my tablet, then my boarding pass, but didn't even bother to scan it. Just loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, she said. First class isn't for school projects, sweetheart. I swear, the air changed. People looked up from their tablets. A guy behind me stopped mid-sip of his espresso. You could feel the hush like fog. I kept my cool. That's part of the training. Don't react. Don't argue. Just observe. So I raised my hand and calmly said, I have a confirmed ticket for 1A. Held it up so the barcode caught the light. But Beverly didn't even blink. She called it in like I was a stowaway. Said I'd need to move to the back until it was sorted. That was her word, sorted. I stood up, slowly, calmly, every move rehearsed 100 times in my mind. I could hear my mom, Dr. Whitman, reminding me, power's not in the volume, it's in the documentation. So I documented. Slid into seat 29D in economy. Same job, different altitude. I tapped in a note, unverified removal. No scan. Code 4A. Hit send. That one click? It triggered a silent alarm all the way back to FAA headquarters. The clear deck protocol was in motion, but I didn't sit there gloating. I just observed. Watched Beverly glide around first class like nothing happened. Watched her smile for the Harpers in 1C and 1D like they were royalty. Watched her smirk when she looked back at me, tucked in the back with my backpack. Like she'd won something. What she didn't know, what most of them didn't, was that I wasn't just some kid on a scholarship. I was part of a real federal program, and her mistake wasn't just a bad call. It was a reportable offense. I kept logging. Every side-eye, every whisper, every passenger who looked away. But there were glimmers of something else too, a tissue handed to me quietly from the lady in 31D, a man across the aisle who mouthed, unbelievable, when he thought I wasn't looking. Even a junior flight attendant, Marta, whispered to Beverly, "Are you sure?" Her ticket looked legit. And Beverly? She just waved it off. Policy is policy. Except it wasn't. FAA policy says minors must be verified. Says no removals without confirmation. Says you don't announce someone's mistake over the loudspeaker like you're calling out a shoplifter. I watched her lie with confidence, and I wrote it all down. Then, just as we were preparing to land, something shifted. Lights flickered. The plane didn't taxi to the gate like usual. It just stopped. Passengers looked around. A murmur rose. Then, the curtain pulled back. 2 FAA officers stepped on board, quiet but commanding. One of them announced it over a portable mic. All crew aboard Atlantic Blue 274 are suspended pending federal compliance review. You could have heard a pin drop. Beverly froze. For the first time, she didn't look so in control. Her hand trembled around her tablet. She looked toward the back, saw me, and I swear for 1 second she knew. She knew exactly what she'd done. They called her name. Chief Purser Langdon, please come forward. Her scarf looked tighter than before. The rest of the crew followed behind her, stiff and silent. Passengers stared. One man muttered, she didn't even scan the kid's pass. Another said, about time someone did something. I stayed seated, calm, collected, watching. By the time they stepped off the plane, escorted by federal agents, the entire cabin was buzzing. Not loud, not chaotic, just alive. People were talking again, whispering about justice, about assumptions, about the quiet kid who sat in the back and let the system do its job. At FAA headquarters, my report had already logged into the national system, a red tile flashing on the compliance dashboard. Within hours, the CLA clause would be introduced, mandating double verification for any minor seating dispute. No more judgment calls. No more sweetheart announcements. Back at home, my mom didn't say much. Just opened the door and hugged me like she already knew. You did what you were trained to do, she whispered. And I had. See, this wasn't about me being humiliated. This was about what happens when quiet strength meets loud ignorance. It was about all the times someone's been dismissed because they look too young, too poor, too different. And it was about holding people accountable, not through shouting, but through unwavering truth. So now I want to ask you something. Do you think Beverly was just doing her job? Or did she let her assumptions speak louder than the facts? And when you witness something like that, something quiet but wrong, do you stay silent? Or do you take note? Tell me, where's the line between enforcing policy and crossing it? Let's talk about it. Because that line, it's thinner than people think. Sometimes it looks like a uniform and a clipboard. Other times it sounds like a polite tone wrapped around a cruel assumption. First class isn't for school projects, sweetheart. That wasn't about policy. That was about control. About reminding someone, me, that no matter what paper I had in my hand, I didn't look like I belonged. And honestly, that's the part that stays with you. Not the seat you lost, but the silent agreement in the cabin, the way nobody stepped in. Not at first. Not when it counted most. You start to wonder if anyone else saw it the way you did. If they were thinking she should have said something sooner. Or maybe she probably didn't belong up there anyway. But then there were cracks. Small, beautiful ones. The tissue folded into my palm like a secret handshake. The whispered that wasn't right. The nod from a stranger too stunned to say more. Those moments mattered. Because change doesn't always come from explosions. Sometimes it starts with a whisper that grows. I think about Marta, the junior attendant, her eyes wide, unsure, trying to reconcile the script she was taught with what she actually witnessed. She wasn't the villain of the story. She was a mirror. Someone caught between obedience and observation. And I could see it. If no one ever teaches you to question the wrong thing, how would you even know you were part of it? That's why the program exists. Not to shame people, not to trap them, but to show what happens when nobody's watching, except someone is. Quietly, thoroughly, and not looking for a fight, just a record. A truth. So yeah, when the FAA officers stepped on board and said, suspended pending review, I didn't cheer. I didn't want Beverly to lose everything. I wanted her to see. To realize she didn't just make a bad call, she made a revealing one. She exposed a system that still measures worth by appearance. And that system finally looked itself in the mirror. I know what some folks are probably thinking. It's just a seat on a plane. But if that's how you see it, you weren't the one being moved. You weren't the one being dismissed out loud. You didn't feel the heat rise to your face as a whole cabin watched you walk away from something you rightfully earned. It's never just a seat. It's a signal. So what now? The crew's suspended. The policy's changing. A regulation's named after the report I filed. But the real question is, will people actually learn? Will Beverly look back one day and say, that moment taught me something? Or will she spend the rest of her career blaming it on woke overreach and pretend she was wronged? And what about everyone else? The passengers who sat there, silent? Will they stay silent next time? Or speak up? I don't know. But I do know this, change rarely announces itself. It walks through the economy cabin wearing sneakers, with a backpack and a quiet sense of purpose. It doesn't need applause. It just needs someone to press send. So now it's your turn. You've heard the whole story. You've seen how it played out. And maybe, just maybe, you saw yourself in one of those seats, first class, economy, crew, or kid. So let me ask you. When the moment comes, when someone's being treated unfairly right in front of you, do you wait for someone else to act? Or do you become the data point that changes the system? Let's talk about that. Drop your thoughts below. Was this justice? Bias? Somewhere in between? I'm listening.